Hi. Now, in this particular module of HR Generalist course, we are going to talk about the contribution of a HR Generalist at an organization level. In the last module, we have understood it at an individual level, at a departmental level. But on the other hand, we must understand whenever we are talking about the role of a HR Generalist, the role and the contribution is always expected at an organizational level, because most of the cases HR organization or HR structure is completely dependent on the organization itself. An HR generalist is primarily applicable for the organizations which are smaller in size, which have less number of employees, and the structure is not too much complicated. Obviously, it is applicable for an employee size of something around 100 to 1000, sometime up to 2 to 3000 as well, because they do not have that much of complicated structure where you have different types of HR functions like HR COEs, HR BP, HR shared services. All these models are not applicable. They are primarily looking forward for a HR profile who will be managing all the gamut of HR functions, including the business contribution of the HR department. So therefore, whenever we talk about the HR generalist role, it doesn't only applicable at an individual level, the roles and responsibility carry at an individual level, but also at an organization level. Now, whenever we talk about the organization level contribution, business alignment with the organization, at first the HR generalist individual at first must understand the domain of the organization. Maybe it is in software industry, maybe it's a manufacturing industry, maybe it's an FMCG, whatever it is. The core business function of the organization must be clear to that individual. Maybe it can be done by different types of discussions, different types of hand holding, knowledge transfer, reading, whatever is the applicable process. The understanding of the domain is the first and the most important thing. Once the understanding about the domain is done, also the business, how different types of pipelines are applicable to the organization, what are the different opportunities there in front of the organization, also must be clear to that individual. Because obviously, the HR is not only responsible for managing the operation and the support in terms of employment generation, in terms of different HR operations or exit interviews and engagement activities, but also it's highly dependent on the growth of the organization. If you can understand the business of the organization, the opportunity and the pipeline that has to be created for the organization, the talent acquisition would be much more proactive in nature. The overall retention and employee management also will be happening in a much more structured and in a proper way which is aligned with the business. So therefore, the understanding about the business is very important. At first, you must know about the domain of the organization, the business of the organization, different types of pipelines and opportunities applicable for the organization. Then you must understand the hierarchy of the organization. What are the different types of profiles, or what are the different types of portfolios are available, required for the organization, and at what level? It can be different types of verticals where different hierarchy levels would be applicable, and different types of skill sets and different types of technological knowledge would be required. And the overall functional and behavioral aspect of the organization which would be contributing towards the culture of the organization must be clear to the HR journalist profile. Yes, most of the cases they are the person who are responsible for the career definition, for the job description, for creation of the hierarchy. But on the other hand, whenever someone newly joining the organization, or maybe starting from the scratch from startup, obviously all this understanding and all these things has to be applied in a much more structured way. Once the hierarchy, KRA, and all these different job responsibilities are defined, you must understand the present situation of the organization. Where do we stand? What are the different manpowers are available? What are the different types of gaps are there, and how these gaps can be fulfilled? And what is the retention pattern? What is the attrition analysis? All these things must be clear to the individual, because until and unless you don't know what is happening in the organization, where do we stand, and what needs to be done, it is impossible for you to contribute something for the business of the organization. Once you are able to understand, obviously the manpower planning would be much easier. Once you are able to understand the retention and the attrition pattern of the organization, the engagement and different types of talent management decisions would be much easier. Also, you can prepare a much more business focused reports which would be applicable for the business growth of the organization and can be used by the management itself. Once you are done with a different understanding of HR operations related to your talent acquisition, retention, and attrition, you must concentrate on more the HR analytics. Like, say, for example, how the business trend is changing for the last couple of years. Maybe for the last 10 years, you can analyze the business of the organization, how the things has moved, how different new type of businesses has come into the picture, how different new types of businesses are now going to come in the industry, and how the organization can participate in the business development or can take the opportunity to grow the business. So once you are able to understand the trend analysis of the market and also the trend analysis of the organization itself, how they are performing, how the things are happening, what are the different places where the organization is struggling, what are the different places where the organization is not really able to contribute too much, or the strength of the organization, you can then contribute in a much better way. For that, maybe a little bit of organizational design, organizational analysis would be applicable at an individual level, at a department level, at an organization level as well. Different types of SWOT analysis and different other analysis like MBTI, or maybe for the understanding of the personality profiling, you can apply PF16 or something similar to that, and you can create a complete profiling of the individuals of the organization, the departments, and also the overall organizational behavior, the strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, everything has to be understood. Once you are done with this analysis, the planning, the overall understanding and creating different types of dashboard for the management would be much easier, and it will be not useful for the individuals who are working in the HR profile or who are working as a manager or maybe as a hiring manager, but also very much important for the management to take all their decisions. So therefore, whenever we are talking about understanding the organization as a HR generalist, it will start from understanding of the business, understanding of the industry, then obviously understanding of the organization, the hierarchy pattern, the profiling, the KRAs, the different types of portfolios available, and then the present situation, how the organization is managing the talent, what is the talent acquisition happening, attritions, retentions, engagement, all these patterns has to be identified, and then the overall trend analysis, the market, the environment, and the organizational performance. Once you are able to understand all this four step-by-step approach, it would be much easy to be much easier for you, and it would be much important for an HR journalist to contribute towards the business of the organization. So these four aspects has to be clear to the individual, must be documented, and also a proper planning exercise must be done whenever someone is joining an organization as a HR journalist. Because again, to repeat, to reiterate, HR journalist is not only responsible for the support or for the HR operation of the organization, they are also expected to contribute towards the business, towards the growth of the organization, because mostly this role is applicable for small and medium sized organization where different types of HR portfolios are not available. HR generalist is supposed to contribute towards all the aspect of HR modules, including the business of the organization, and that's how the HR generalist can be more useful, can be more valuable for an organization. Thank you.